I declare the ordinary council meeting open at 18:01 p.m. Good evening, councillors, staff, ladies and gentlemen. This meeting today is being held on Wajak Noongar Budja, and I'd like to acknowledge and pay my respects to elders past, present and future. I thank all past and present members of the community that have supported the city to better understand and value Noongar culture within the city of Wanneroo. I invite you to bow your head in prayer. Lord, we thank you for blessing our city, our community and our council. Guide us all in our decision-making to act fairly, without fear or favour, and with compassion, integrity, wisdom and honesty. May we show true leadership, be inclusive of all, and guide all of the city's people and many families to a prosperous future that all may share. We ask this in your name. Amen. Please note that the audio-visual proceedings of tonight's meeting will be live broadcast online with the exception of matters discussed behind closed doors. The broadcast of the proceedings of the meeting can be accessed live and on demand through the City of Wanneroo YouTube channel. In accordance with good meeting governance and to minimise disruption, the presiding member advises, and I advise, that we're going to have two adjournments to be scheduled during the meeting, the first at 8 p.m, and should the meeting continue, the second at 10 p.m. Attendances are as per the record. Electronic attendance. Councillors, we're going to vote on the electronic attendance separately. No form has been received for Councillor Hugh Newen as at 5 p.m. on the 28th of July tonight. We have received a request for electronic attendance from Councillor Newen, and I have approved his request subject to your vote, as he is overseas and we haven't received the request. So I'm going to take a council vote on Councillor Hugh Newen's attendance by electronic attendance. So councillors, could you please cast your vote? Thank you. So we have 11 and that is carried. Could Councillor Hugh Newen be admitted to the meeting, and he needs to read his declaration, please? Thank you. So we're not able to admit him at this point in time. I've also received a request for electronic attendance from Councillor Bedworth, and I have approved this request. So could we please admit Councillor Bedworth to the meeting and ask him to read his declaration? Thank you. Councillor Bedworth, could you please read your declaration for the meeting? Thank you.
Certainly. In accordance with section 14CA, subsection 5, I, Philip Bedworth, declare that I can maintain confidentiality whilst attending this council meeting electronically and any portion closed thereof.
Thank you. Item 2, apologies and leave of absence. Councillor Moore is on parental leave and Councillor Rowe is on a leave of absence. Do I have any new requests for a leave of absence, councillors? If there are no new requests, I'll go to item 3, public question and statement time. The following general rules apply to the public question and statement time. Public questions and statements should only relate to the business of the local government and should not be a personal statement or opinion. Only questions relating to matters affecting the local government will be considered at a council meeting, and only questions that relate to the purpose of the meeting will be considered at a special council meeting. Questions may be taken on notice and responded to after the meeting. Questions may not be directed at specific council members or a city employee. Questions are not to be framed in such a way as to reflect adversely on a particular council member or a city employee. First priority will be given to persons who are asking questions relating to items on the current council meeting agenda. Second priority will be given to public statements. Only public statements regarding items on the council agenda under consideration will be heard. Each person seeking to ask questions or make a statement may address the council for a maximum of 3 minutes each, and you will be notified by the ringing of a bell when you have 30 seconds remaining of your time. When your 3 minutes has been reached, the bell will ring for a second time. So I have questions requested by T. Blake. Would you like to come and ask your questions at the podium? And the responses have been written, but I give you the opportunity to raise your questions publicly. Thank you. Could you please press the button in front of you and then the red, that's it. Thank you.
Apologies, can you all hear me? Good evening, Mayor, Council, Thomas Blake from Clarkson. As the principal petitioner for the new petition on the agenda tonight submitted by residents of Cherokee Green, Clarkson, regarding the condition of our hedges bordering our properties that back onto Cherokee Park, my question is, given that residents of Caldwell Turn, whose properties back onto Summerley Park, receive a noticeably higher standard of council-maintained hedges than those of us living on Cherokee Green with properties backing onto Cherokee Park, can Council confirm that the administration's report addressing our petition will compare the level of landscaping privacy screening and ongoing maintenance between the two parks and advise whether it is unreasonable for ratepayers in comparable locations to expect an equitable standard of amenity?
Director Singh.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. The matter raised in the petition, which is going to be subject to Council accepting that petition first this evening, and the ones raised in this question will be addressed in the administration's report to a future Council meeting.
Thank you. Mr. Blake, do you have another question? Could you just turn it? Thank you.
Sorry, it just turned off for a second. Thank you for that answer. My second question follows. Shortly after submission of the petition from the residents of Cherokee Green, I contacted both Central West Ward councillors to inform them of the petition and the community's desire for action. I was pleased to receive an acknowledgement and response from Councillor Berry, but was disappointed to not receive a response from Councillor Bedworth. Can Council advise whether or not there is an expectation or standard for elected members to acknowledge and respond to inquiries from members of the community within their wards, particularly where that correspondence represents the views of multiple ratepayers?
Director Wollaston.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. So there are no specific statutory requirements outlining how councillors are to respond to inquiries. It is up to each councillor to exercise their own judgment in determining when and how to respond to an inquiry. This includes, for example, assessing whether an inquiry may have already been fully answered by another councillor and whether it requires a further response.
Thank you. Do you have any other questions, Mr. Blake? Thank you. Thank you for coming to the meeting. Ms. Casey has questions. Would she like to come to the podium and ask her questions? Thank you.
Rosalind Casey from Merriwa. My questions this evening relate to Local Planning Policy 4.3, Public Open Space. The Ordinary Council meeting on the 28th of July, My questions concern the newly adopted Local Planning Policy 4.3 Public Open Space, LPP 4.3. Administration claims, and I quote, "The policy aligns with livable neighbourhoods by restricting organised sport to neighbourhoods, district and regional POS in accordance with their intended hierarchy and catchment." This statement is blatantly false, containing a critical structural mismatch to justify inserting senior-sized sport ovals onto neighbourhood open space and co-located primary school sites. The June 2026 Policy Review Committee minutes record administration's justification for rejecting community concerns regarding this aspect of the policy. Administration explicitly states in its report to Council that livable neighbourhoods acknowledges that neighbourhood parks may accommodate single playing fields. I've read and reread the LN document and find no mention of single playing fields in any hierarchy of public open space. However, the classification framework, a separate state document, states NOS may be used for junior sport or sports training if appropriate space is available. By substituting the word junior with single, administration deliberately admitted the scale restrictions set by the state. A junior field has a tiny fraction of the spatial, environmental, and financial footprint of an adult senior field. This manipulation allows administration to develop new neighbourhood parks as large active sports hubs without councillors realising they were endorsing a direct breach of state planning intent, well beyond administration's local interpretation. I'll go to the questions, so I keep to the 3 minutes. Question 1, can administration explicitly confirm with a simple yes or no whether the precise terms single playing field or neighbourhood sport exist as recognised defined compliance metrics within the text of the WAPC Livable Neighbourhoods Policy or the DLGSC Classification Framework for Public Open Space?
Mr Lee.
Thank you, Mayor, through you, and thank you for the question. The Livable Neighbourhoods Policy and the Classification Framework for Public Open Space serve different but complementary purposes. Livable Neighbourhoods provides a planning framework to guide the provision, distribution, hierarchy and function of public open space within communities, while the Classification Framework for Public Open Space provides a common terminology and classification system for describing the role and function of different types of public open space. Neither document is intended to establish detailed sporting field compliance metrics, and therefore no, the terms single playing field and neighbourhood sport are not recognised or defined compliance metrics within either document. Rather, the term neighbourhood sport is used within the city's Local Planning Policy 4.3 as a local policy descriptor to distinguish between neighbourhood parks that accommodate organised sporting activity from neighbourhood parks with primarily recreation or environmental functions. It's not there to create a new public open space hierarchy, and it's intended to provide guidance regarding the function, scale and design of neighbourhood level sporting facilities within the existing neighbourhood open space classification.
Thank you, Mr Lee. Ms Casey, would you like to do your second question?
So the answer to that was no. Thank you. Second question, given that the classification framework for public open space explicitly restricts neighbourhood open space to junior sport or sports training and confines formal senior scale sports fields to district or regional hierarchies, on what specific statutory head of power did administration rely to substitute the state's strict junior scale limitation with the non-statutory quantitative term single?
Thank you. Director Lee.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. While the framework states that neighbourhood open space may be used for junior sport or sports training where appropriate space is available, it doesn't expressly define the term single playing field nor does it expressly state that neighbourhood open space is limited exclusively to junior sport or sports training, or that all senior scale sporting fields must be confined to district or regional open space. As such, administration doesn't consider that our local planning policy substitutes a state-defined junior limitation with a different compliance standard. Rather, the local planning policy uses local policy terminology to provide additional guidance regarding the role, function, scale and design of sporting facilities within the existing public open space hierarchy. The policy doesn't create a new hierarchy or amend the classifications established within the state planning documents.
Thank you. You've had your 3 minutes, Ms Casey, but we do have your third question here and we have got the response to it, which will be in the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is Councillor Hugh Newen still online? He's just dropped off by the looks of things. Okay, so now we'll go to the next question, which is from Mr Kayakob. Would you like to come to the podium and ask questions?
Madam Mayor, I'll leave the questions if I can. I just prefer to do my statement. Thank you very much.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor, councillors, Mr CEO and staff. Before I start, this statement is done prior to my conversation.
Excuse me, Mr Kayakob, I'm sorry for interrupting you,
right.
but he's gone again. I think it seems to be, sorry, I was just trying to get Councillor Newer on.
Yep.
Go ahead, I'm sorry for interrupting you.
And if he comes in, just cut me off.
I'd rather not once you're in mid-flight. I'll just let you keep... No, he'll have to wait until you've finished your statement now, Mr Kayakob. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And this is written prior to my discussion with the CEO in the foyer this evening. Mr CEO, at the June Council meeting, around about the 52-minute mark, you stated that if a resident is unhappy with the public question answers, we should inform you and receive a resolution. I'm calling on that commitment today. I'm entirely dissatisfied with the NRRP responses from the Director of Assets, save for the City finally admitting the Tallis report was incorrect regarding the buffer guidance statement 3 and the 5-kilometre buffer. Considering the evidence on the public record, February 24th, 26 minutes, question 3.2 asked if the precinct's distance to the nearest residence is safe. The official answer claimed that it was well beyond the EPA recommendation for 200 metres from the waste station. It's not the precinct. Furthermore, question 8.1 relies on an undisclosed AI idiom, thin edge of the wedge. You'll find that's probably from Google somewhere. First Nations Janelle's questions 3 and 4 from the 24th of March meeting, missing, where she asked the Director to cease operations until consultation with the Aboriginal Nation had been done. Public and councillor questions and answers are being sanitised, manipulated and altered using AI to suit the City's narrative with no disclaimers or explanations in the agenda. Every set of minutes mentioning the NRRP since the 3rd of December 24 must be formally reviewed and submitted to the Department and audit compliant returns. Locking evasive non-answers into the official record under Regulation 11 satisfies the bare letter of the law, but it subverts the democratic intent of the Local Government Act. By refusing to accept these minutes, the Council rejects the lack of accountability, avoids endorsing flawed administrative disclosures and upholds its statutory duty to demand transparent answers. Council, you are here to govern. Councillors, you are here to represent your ratepayers. Administration do not use the prior correspondence to me to claim an investigation occurred or to silence debate. I have proven that the Tallis report version 2.3 was backdated and flawed regarding the buffer guidance statement. The City selected this site in 2019 for financial convenience, not sound planning, and the Council approval was not based on the final Tallis recommendations. Furthermore, building the NRRP inside a wetland buffer while reducing health buffers for a proposed incinerator is unacceptable planning. Degrading endangered species habitat risks breaching the EPBC Act. And while the Mindarie Regional Council last week is receptive to exploring Zero Waste Australia's modern alternative waste management strategies, this administration remains clinging to an outdated incinerator. Councillors, I urge you to reject the sanitised minutes, investigate all previous NRRP records, maintain your environmental buffers and enforce statutory compliance. Mr CEO, please stop holding them with information and invite Zero Waste Australia to present modern solutions to the Council immediately. Thank you very much, Madam
Thank you,
Mayor.
Mr Kayakob. The CEO will be responding to that later on in the meeting. He's got a statement.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
And I'm just going to admit Councillor Hugh Nguyen into the meeting. Or could you admit Sorry, I'm trying to admit him. Councillor Nguyen, could you please read your declaration, and if possible, could you please turn your camera on as soon as possible? Thank you.
Yep, turn the camera on. I've got the camera on.
Thank you. Could you please
Sorry, I don't have the declaration with me.
Okay. I'll read it out, and if you could repeat it after me, please, Councillor Nguyen.
Sure.
In accordance with Section 14CA5.
In accordance with Section 14CA5.
I, Councillor Hugh Nguyen.
I, Councillor Hugh Nguyen.
Declare that I can maintain confidentiality.
Declare that I can maintain confidentiality.
Whilst attending any closed part of this council meeting electronically.
While I was attending any closed part of this meeting electronically.
And that's it. Thank you, Councillor
Thank
Nguyen.
you.
We now go to Ms Gordon, or Ms. Yes. Would you like to come and ask your questions? Thank you.
I think, yeah, still on. Thank you, Karen Gordon from Tapping. My questions are as follows. What is the hourly rate paid to consultants on projects across all departments of the City of Wanneroo's business? Please do not reply it's confidential, as MRC provided information last Thursday, the 23rd of July, at a meeting I attended in relation to Mr Scott Cairns, ex-CEO, now engaged as a consultant with MRC, that the hourly rate charged by and paid to consultants is $500 an hour. The number of consultants used by the City of Wanneroo is of great concern to ratepayers, and we want to know why they are costing us so much. Question 2, legal fees. The amount of money spent on legal fees is also very concerning to the ratepayers. Can you please advise how many legal firms you have engaged in the last financial year, 25-26? What was the total spent paid to each firm? 3, total legal costs and fees that were allocated for 2025-2026 in that budget, and the total allocated legal costs fees for 26-27 in the common budget.
Thank you, Ms Gordon.
Thank you.
Director Wollaston, would you like to respond to those questions? Thank you.
Thank you, and through you, Mayor. So there is no single hourly rate paid to consultants, as the rate can vary based on the type of consulting and the complexity or expertise involved. Consultants are procured on a competitive basis, so we seek a number of quotes in line with the City's purchasing policy to ensure that the City obtains best value for the expertise sought. Given the breadth of services and assets that local governments deliver, it can sometimes be better value to procure consultants for point needs where specific expertise is required. In some instances, it is also necessary. For example, legal conveyancing consulting costs for property transactions, or another example would be specific IT expertise in relation to systems upgrades. We do periodically review services that could potentially be better brought in-house. In relation to question 2, so I can provide answers to a couple of your questions there. The total amount allocated to legal fees in 2025-26 was $555,000, which was revised through budget review to $905,120. And the total amount budgeted for 2026-27 is $504,000. There are ongoing efforts to bring legal services in-house where appropriate. We'll take on notice a question regarding how many firms were paid and how much was paid to each. The amount of legal fees required can depend on the city's activities. For example, land transactions usually involve legal advice and conveyancing costs to ensure that they're managed prudently, compliantly, and mitigate risk for the city's ratepayers. So obviously if we do more land transactions or bigger or more complex ones, then we would require more legal fees to support them. It should be noted that payments to lawyers on the warrant of payments, so if you look at our report in the OCM reports, they can include funds paid to settle land acquisitions, so the actual purchase cost of the land itself, not just the legal fees associated with that. And so they can appear to be quite substantial in nature, although not always relating to the actual legal costs.
Okay, well, just quickly back
Thank
to
you.
the
You
hourly
have got
rate
another
then.
question, have you? Yeah.
No, it's to do with the same question.
Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Just in relation to the hourly rate, are you able to say, based on the total hours that of work they've done and the total money that it's costs, that would be an average? Because I've been advised that $500 an hour is probably the going rate in Perth for a consultant, or you can't nut it down to that.
Director Wollaston.
Sure, and through you, Mayor. Rates for consultants can vary a lot. So, for example, a labour hire agency, you might get somebody for $50 an hour for, somebody that's helping with administrative work, right through to $500 per hour is, that would be more probably, a pretty decent lawyer kind of an hourly rate. So, given the very many diverse types of consultants that we use, it would be really hard to say what the average rate would be. We don't necessarily track total hours. We do have a consulting budget. And so, we could provide information on the total consulting budget overall, but we don't track consulting hours to be able to divide one by the hour and provide you with an average.
Okay, thank you. And just finally, in relation to did you say 504,000 for next year?
Director Wollaston, could you please respond to that?
Yes, thank you, through you, Mayor. So that's the $504,000 is the total amount budgeted for 2026-27.
Thank you, Ms Gordon. Do you have another question?
It almost doubled. Did you say 905,100?
Mr CEO.
Thank you for the question. I can understand the line of question. We've also got the General Counsel here who looks after that particular budget, but I look after the General Counsel, so I'll chip in here. When we set our budget at the beginning of the year, we do our very best to try and forecast and estimate what's in front of us. As you can imagine, with legal fees, it's incredibly unpredictable because you really don't know what you're going to be dealing with potentially from one month to the other. So although we go in and we provide our best forecast, and the General Counsel puts a lot of work into that, based upon our best estimates, there's a whole heap of variables that can impact on what those costs end up being. We keep regular, detail around how they're changing from month to month. I meet with the General Counsel regularly, and if we get to mid-year and we have seen some unforeseeable events or we do see some coming, then we obviously seek to adjust that with Council's permission at mid-year.
Okay, all right.
Thank you, Mr CEO. Do you have any other questions? Okay, thank you. Would Mr Gunning like to come and take the podium and ask his questions? Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to attend this meeting, Mayor, CEO. My name is Trevor Gunning. I have resided in Carramar for the last 37 years. I have two questions. I'm referring to the May Ordinary Council meetings, page 17, reference, question 2 from Councillor Berry. Councillor Berry asked, what is the process for reconciling discrepancies between the official attendance register, meeting minutes and the record live stream or video? The response from Chief Executive Officer was, after reviewing the information provided, any discrepancies between what is currently recorded in the Council members' attendance register on the website and actual attendance at the meetings will be corrected. My first question, therefore, is, as the minutes for that meeting were approved, what process is the CEO going to take in respect to the department and the audit compliance requirements?
Mr CEO.
Thank you for the question, Mr Gunning. If the confirmed ordinary council meeting minutes are found to contain an error requiring amendment, administration will consider the appropriate legislative and governance process at the time. I recall that particular issue, and I understand that the minutes were correct. It was the register that needed to be altered, so it wasn't the minutes of the meeting from memory. Where the amendment would require council to revoke or change a previous decision, the matter would be brought back to council in accordance with Regulation 10 of the Local Government Administration Regulations 96, which sets out the requirements for revoking or changing a council decision.
Thank you, Mr CEO. And do you have another question, Mr Gunning?
I have three more questions. Question 2, relating those same minutes. Has the city received, or will the city receive, compensation for the state government for the rail easement lot through 600, a freehold-owned lot?
Director Lee.
Thank you, Mayor. And through you, we'll have to take that question on notice. We're currently investigating that, so we'll be able to provide you an answer once we've finished that review.
Thank you.
Just one thing, Director Lee, will that answer be in a letter and sent to Mr Gunning as well, so that he gets it in person as well?
Thank you, Mayor. Through you, yes, happy to do that, as well as it being obviously reflected in the future minutes, but happy to correspond directly as well.
Thank you. Mr Gunning, do you have another question?
Yes, I have two more questions. These last two refer to minutes of May meeting, page 20, where Crier Seif asked 5 questions. All responses given in the minutes are deflective and not answering the questions asked. Can we have precise answers to the precise questions asked?
And that goes to the Director of Assets, Director Singh. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. The responses we provided in the minutes, they are based on our understanding of the questions and the information available at that time.
Thank you. And your fourth question, Mr Gunning.
The Director, Assets and staff have been meeting with state and federal government public service employees and staff paid for by taxpayers regarding the NRRP. Without excuses, please provide the names and contact details for the following authorities that the city has met with on the NRRP, projects for any clearing permits and all the appeals. The following have been consulted, we believe: Department of Water, Environment and Resources, the Department of Planning, Land Heritage, West Australian Planning Commission, the EPA State, the EPA Federally, Ministers State and Ministers Federally.
Thank you, Mr Gunning. Director Singh.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. We will compile that information which has been requested in this question and provide that in the minutes. I must add that in some cases we may have to go back to the agencies mentioned to request that information.
Thank you. Mr Gunning, do you have any other questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you, Mr Gunning. We now go to Ms Martin. Would you like to take the podium and ask your questions, please? Thank you.
Good evening, Councillors, Mayor, CEO. My name is Ingrid Martin. I live in Carramar. Reviewing Councillors Berry's questions in the minutes of the ordinary meeting 23rd of June 2026 with regard to difference in 3 site reports that the administration has provided and used to help gain approval from the various bodies regarding lot 600 Wattle Avenue, Neerabup. There are several questions asked by Councillor Berry, thank you, and I would hope that the Councillors thoroughly review them and the deflective answers that the administration has given. So question 1 that I picked on was question 9. Has an independent review, this is Councillor Berry's question, has an independent review been undertaken? Response, a detailed review has been undertaken by Talus Environmental and Ecological Team Leader leading to the commissioning of the Talus 2026 report. My question, how can this Talus report be classified as an independent review when Talus are paid by the City of Wanneroo and are also the creators of the master plan? Surely the real answer should be no.
Director Singh.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. we engage TELUS consultant as a specialist consultant in this field. So they are independent of the city and they are specialists in that particular field. So we have, in that sense, the report they provided is considered to be independent.
Thank you. Do you have another question?
Yeah, I'm
Ms.
confused how you can classify somebody that you employed to create a plan and you want them to do a review on what should stop you doing that plan and you call it independent?
Director Singh, would you like to respond to that?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'm happy to have another look at that one, review it if we need to get a further review on that independent report, and then that can be included in the minutes of the meeting.
Director Singh, would you be able to send a letter to Ms Martin as well so that she directly gets it as well? Thank you. Your next question.
Yeah, my next is question 32 from Councillor Berry. What changed between the earlier report and this TALUS assessment? Response by the Director of Assets. The City wishes to ensure all potential approvals are secured for the project during 2026 and therefore commitment to the initiating the referral process with all relevant authorities. My question, did the fact that the community got involved and demanded transparency, accountability and safeguards for this precinct through appeals to DWA and the EPA result in the delays in the approval of the city we're expecting rather than the administration initiating the processes? Councillor Berry, sorry, can I get an answer to that one?
Director Singh.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Council considered a report back at, I think, in March council meeting, and that's where council authorized the administration to continue with the design work for the stage 1 of the precinct. As part of that one, that approvals, as like with any other project we do, the number of approvals are requested in parallel to the design work so that once the design is fully complete, approvals are in place for the project to proceed unless there is conditions are too onerous to proceed.
Could I just again say the initiation of the appeals was done by the community. So the next question is Councillor Berry's question 35. Appendix B14 wetlands map provided by TALUS has marked the development area within conservation buffer 1.3 hectares. Why is the development process within a conservation wetland? Response by the Director of Assets, as will be outlined within the following responses, the City assessed a variety of potential locations and sites for the proposed NRRP. Through the design process, the City has ensured that the development would only occur within the wetland buffer. My question, disregarding protective buffers are highly sensitive projects like the NRRP is madness. Buffers are there to protect the community. The City of Wanneroo, along with other local government councils, ignored the buffers included in the Tapala Park back in the 1980s and sold off buffer land for housing. Now the residents of Kinross, Mindarie and Clarkson are paying the price of greed. MRC is wide open to a class action by the residents. Has the administration learned nothing from the mistakes of the past? Please name and provide contact details for the relevant approval authorities you have discussed the use of wetland buffers for development.
Director Singh, would you like to respond to this?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. We are looking at that question and response will be compiled and provided in the minutes of the meeting.
Could all of the responses be provided in a letter form to Ms Martin, please?
Yes, Mayor, we can do that.
Thank you.
Can they also be put on the record, please?
They will be put on the record, but I'm just making sure that you get the response.
I appreciate that.
That's why I asked for the same for Mr Kayakob and
Thank you very much.
Casey as well.
Thank you, Councillors.
Now, Karen Richter, Ms Richter, do you have a question you'd like to ask? If you could take the podium, thank you.
Okay, is this on? So I'm Karen Richter, resident of Garramar. Most of you know me by now. So my questions, first I'll provide a bit of context, and it relates to what Ms. Martin has talked about. It is the minutes of the meeting of 23rd of June 2026, especially with regards to Councillor Berry's questions. And I will take you to, it is with regards to authorities that has been formally advised of certain decisions. So I'm going to just, because I don't have enough time, we'll go to page, or to the question 31, where one of the questions was an EPBC referral previously considered unnecessary? And the response was no. As a result of the city discussing the matter with DWER, the stage 1 NRRP has now been referred to the federal government. Whereas Councillor Berry then asked the question that Ms. Martin just talked about, and basically the answer was the initiation of referral processes with relevant authorities is done by the City of Wanneroo, which I do not agree with. Because Councillor Berry then asked the question, has a referral now been made? And the response was, yes, the EPBC referral was made on Friday, 19th of June, 2026. I take you back to a very long email I sent to all of you on the 18th of June, 2026, so a day before this. So this puts into question how proactive the City of Wanneroo is. Now then, I do not understand this because I have been communicating with the City of Wanneroo, the project manager for the NRRP, 9th of April this year. I asked the question whether the so this DQ, DCCEEW, whether they are responsible for the EPBC Act approvals. I asked whether they have been, whether the City of Wanneroo has discussed it with them. So that was on the 9th of April, 2026. Then I got an answer back, 14th of April. Talis is engaged. The City of Wanneroo has engaged Talis with these negotiations. Then I follow up. So each time I had to follow up. I don't get responses if I only wait. 20th of May, I got another response back. We have had initial discussions with DQ and are finalising their scope forms. From there, it is likely to be a 4 to 5 month exercise. Again, I follow up in July, and then I get an answer. We have just had some further advice. DQ hope to finalise the initial validation by the end of this week, 16th of July. Then they will take 4 weeks to complete the statutory timeframe for referral decisions. During this time, there will be a 10-day public advertising period. So I do not understand the answer that was given, 19th of June, 2026. We approached DQ. But I have been busy through emails that was also CC to the Director of Assets from the 4th of April. So what is now correct? Because I received responses back that the City of Wanneroo is negotiating with DQ. But then the answer given to Councillor Berry's question is the 19th of June. So I want this clarified, please.
Thank you, Ms Richter. Director Singh, could you please respond to this question, please?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. What I will do is take this question on notice. We got all the dates and we have the transcripts of this meeting, and we'll analyze that one and provide proper response through the minutes.
And once again, could we please have a letter directly responding to Ms Richter as well, please?
Yes, Mayor, we can do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Is there anyone else in the chamber that wishes to ask a question? If we have no further questions from the chamber, I now go to item 4, confirmation of minutes. And before we confirm the minutes this evening, there's an announcement from the CEO. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. So just before you consider the minutes, and there are a few sets of minutes to be considered tonight. So before Council considers confirmation of the May 2026 Ordinary Council meeting minutes, I would like to provide some context regarding amendments that have been made to those minutes. Following concerns raised by Mr Kayakob at the June 2026 Ordinary Council meeting regarding the recording of his public questions in the May 2026 Ordinary Council meeting minutes, administration undertook a review of the original submissions and the unconfirmed minutes. The review found no significant material changes to the intent or meaning of those questions as recorded. Notwithstanding this finding, and in the interests of transparency and maintaining confidence in the public record, administration has amended the May 2026 Ordinary Council meeting minutes to reproduce Mr Kayakob's submitted questions and statements verbatim. The amended May 2026 Ordinary Council meeting minutes are presented to Council this evening for your consideration. Council should also note that the Local Government Administration Regulations 1996 require meeting minutes to contain a summary of each question raised by a member of the public and a summary of the response provided. Administration's previous practice was consistent with those legislative requirements. However, following this review, and this has also been communicated to Council via briefing note, administration has adopted an enhanced approach that goes beyond the statutory requirement. From now on, all public questions and statements under item 3, public questions and statement time, and all questions from Council members under item 6 will be recorded verbatim in Council meeting minutes. This change is intended to provide the highest level of transparency, remove any uncertainty regarding the accuracy of the public record, and ensure consistency in future minute-taking practices. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr CEO. We are now going to item OCO 10526, minutes of the Ordinary Council meeting held on the 26th of May 2026. Do I have a mover and seconder for these minutes? Councillor Wright, moving. Do I have a seconder? Deputy Mayor Miles. Is there anyone to speak against these minutes? If there are no speakers against these minutes, please cast your vote on these minutes, councillors. Councillor Nguyen, could you please cast your vote on the minutes of the 2026, please? Okay. So Councillor Nguyen's supportive. I have 2 councillors who voted against the minutes. That's Councillor Seif and Councillor Berry. And I think I have 12. Would that be correct if we include Councillor Nguyen? Where are we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11-2 carried. Thank you. Is there 13? No, there's 13. We now go to the minutes of the Ordinary Council meeting held on the 23rd of June 2026, OCO 20626. Do I have a mover and seconder for these, please? Moved, Councillor. You have a question? Okay. Councillor Seif, would you like to ask a question?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So my question is in relation to what Ms Richter has just said at the podium. Whilst I appreciate that questions and answers are being recorded verbatim, thank you very much, administration. I genuinely appreciate that. It seems that the answers given may or may not be incorrect. So therefore, if we could get perhaps a governance answer to let me know whether or not the minutes need to reflect only verbatim or the actual truth. So does it work to retrospectively then go back and have a look whether an incorrect answer was given? Yeah.
Ms Coles.
Thank you for the question and through you, Mayor. So the minutes have to record the response that was provided at the meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Berry, you have a question?
No, it's just been answered. I'll wait for question time for the rest. Thanks.
Thank you. Do I have a mover and seconder for OC 02626, council meeting held on the 23rd of June? Moved Councillor Parker, seconded Councillor Wright. Could you please cast your vote, councillors? Have I voted? No, we haven't got 14. Councillor Hugh Newen, have you voted?
Yes, I have. I'm against. I'm against. Thank you.
Okay. And so those minutes are passed 12-1. We now go to the minutes of the special council meeting held on the 7th of July 2026, SOC 03726. Do I have a mover and seconder? Moved Deputy Mayor Miles, seconded Councillor Huntley. Does anyone want to speak to these minutes? No one wants to speak to these minutes. Please cast your vote. Okay, so we have one councillor against, which is Councillor Berry, and all of the other councillors supporting it, and that is passed. Thank you. Item 5 of the agenda, we now go to announcements by the Mayor without discussion. I have no announcements. Item 6, questions from council members. Councillors, do we have any questions? I'll go to Councillor Wright first. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one question from me, and just going back to Ms Casey's deputation or questions, sorry. Could the administration please formally note the additional language introduced outside of the formal planning framework in LPP 4.3, such as neighbourhood sport, and flag these as part of the next policy review for that particular LPP policy?
Thank you. Councillor Berry.
Thank you. I want to start by thanking the CEO. It's great that we're actually going to get the questions from community and us put in the minutes verbatim with the answers. That's much appreciated. I want to go back to an email we've just received, and I don't know if we can revoke the minutes or relook at the minutes. It refers to March minutes. I think we all got the same email. I've reviewed the March minutes and listened to the YouTube recording, and Mr Kayakob highlighted to us that there was 4 questions asked by an Aboriginal person who attended the meeting that night, and only 2 were actually recorded in the minutes. Having looked at it, there were 4 questions. Can admin explain why only 2 were recorded in the minutes, and what happens to the other 2 questions? Thank you.
Mr CEO.
Thank you for the question, Councillor Berry. Without going back and looking at the video and looking at the minutes, I probably can't answer the question now. What I'd suggest the administration do is go back and review the video and the minutes. If the administration feels as though the minutes accurately capture the meeting, and mind you, we were working in the era where it was a summary, which the City of Wanneroo has done for a long time, then we'd probably consider administratively that no further action is required. However, that wouldn't stop elected members potentially bringing forward a revocation motion of some description. So if there are, how about you let the administration first review, and I'll come back to elected members with the administration's position, because we may decide that it doesn't accurately reflect, and we may choose to do something administratively.
Thank you. You have another question, Councillor Berry.
I do, thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to thank Director Singh, because I did put in an awful lot of questions in June regarding NNRP. My first question regarding the answers I got was Western Environmental's report was proven to be incorrect. How much did the city pay for that report, and who is responsible for looking at the reports for accuracy when we actually receive them? Thank you.
Director Singh.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I don't have that information with me on hand, but I'm definitely happy to look at that one and provide a response in the minutes.
Thank you, Director Singh. Do you have another question, Councillor Berry?
I do, thank you. It's only one more question, and it refers to question 33 that I put in regarding the NNRP. It refers to the environmental protection and biodiversity conservation. Could administration provide the EPBC referral number for the referral stated to have been lodged on Friday the 19th of June that we've already heard a bit about in this chamber tonight, and advise on what date the referral will become publicly available for members to look at? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Berry. Director Singh.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'll find that date out and definitely will let council members know through the minutes.
Thank you. Councillor Hugh Newen, you have a question.
Yes, I do, Mayor. Just a few from my end. My first question is in relation to the situation down in Lansdale. Is the administration aware of current vehicle break-ins that have been happening in and around Lansdale for the past 3 to 4 weeks? And we're talking about quite a large number of vehicle break-ins. Is the administration aware of the situation in Lansdale?
Director Davis.
Thank you, Councillor Newen, through the Mayor, for your question. We will have a look at our CRMs. It does sound like that would be a police matter, but I will look into our system and get back to you on that one.
Thank you. Councillor Hugh Newen, you have another question?
Yes, I have a number of other questions, if I may. Just following up from that answer, if the fact is that there have been numerous vehicle break-ins in and around Lansdale, would the city consider sending out ranger services in order to supplement the work of the police, who are usually quite busy with other priorities within the community?
Director Davis.
Thank you again for your question. There are some very clear delineation between the roles of police and rangers. Perhaps a better avenue might be a discussion at the upcoming Community Safety Working Group, which is due to be held in about 2 weeks' time. We'll table that for discussion on your behalf.
Thank you, Director Davis. Councillor Hugh Newen, you have another question?
Yes, I do. In relation to the pergola at the Broadview Park, I raised this question at the previous council meeting, and I believe at the one before that as well. Just by way of background, the pergola has been underwater for some time last year, and we are still waiting for an update on when there is going to be rectification works or replacement works. Can the administration update the community on what is the status of that particular job?
Director Singh.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. We did provide an update to council members through REP. We are also working on providing a community update as well along the same lines. And we will work with our comms team to provide that update.
Thank you, Director Singh. Do you have another question, Councillor Hugh Newen?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Okay, any other questions from the councillors? There are no questions. We now go to item 7, petitions. We have a petition being presented by Deputy Miles about the city's rate increase, PTO 10726. Deputy Mayor Miles, would you like to present that petition?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I have a petition here of 10 pages, totalling 72 signatures. 65 signatures are identified as residing within the City of Wanneroo. 7 were unable to be identified as residing within the city. And the petition is with regard to the objection to the proposed 6% rate increase for the 2026-2027 financial year.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Miles. Are you happy to move that petition? Do I have a seconder for that petition? Councillor Vin Nguyen. Could we please have a vote to accept the petition? And that is carried unanimously. We now go to PT 02726, a petition for the hedges at Cherokee Park, Clarkson. Councillor Parker, would you like to present, Councillor Berry, would you like to present that petition?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to thank Mr Blake for coming in tonight. And before I present the petition, I just want to, for any residents that are listening, Councillor Bedworth and myself do work very closely together. We do actually catch up about 2 or 3 times a week, and we do actually share the emails we get come in. So I hope that helps your question earlier. So I've received a petition with 25 signatures. All 25 live in the city of Wanneroo. The petition is to replace the existing shrubbery along the boundary between Cherokee Park and the properties on the eastern side of Cherokee Green, Clarkson, with established hedging that provides effective privacy screening comparable to that provided along similar park boundaries, including Summerley Park in Clarkson. I present this petition for everybody to agree to. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder, Councillor Parker? Yep. Councillors, please vote to accept this petition. Carried unanimously. We now go to our third petition this evening, PTO 10726, which will be presented by Councillor Vin Nguyen about the Warradale Park safety and recreation improvements. Councillor Vin Nguyen, would you like to present the petition?
I am pleased to present this petition in relation to the safety and recreational improvements to the Warradale Park for the installation of adequate lighting, outdoor exercise equipment, and a review of the traffic safety and speed management measures. There are a total of 57 signatures, 54 of which are identifiable of residents within the city of Wanneroo, and I'd like to thank Goran for contacting me on this matter.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder for this item? Councillor Seif? Councillors, would you like to vote on accepting the petition, please? And that is passed unanimously. We now go to update on petitions. UPO 10726, Councillor Hugh Nguyen, request for review and provision of community floodlight activation and access to Warradale Community Park Friday and Saturday evenings. Councillor Hugh Nguyen presented a petition comprising 56 signatories identified as residing within the City of Wanneroo district and 6 signatories who could not be identified as residing within the City of Wanneroo, requesting a review of and provision for community floodlight activation and access to Warradale Community Park on Friday and Saturday evenings. Administration is currently investigating this petition and is intending to present a report to the August 2026 Ordinary Council meeting for consideration. I now go to item 8, reports, declarations of interest. Any declarations of interest by council members, including the nature and extent of interest, are to be made at the commencement of the item to which the interest relates. Declarations of interest forms are to be completed and handed to the Chief Executive Officer. And I know there are 2 councillors with declarations for later on this evening. We now go to item PSO 10726, proposed dog beach locations at Alkimos, Two Rocks and Mindari. Do I have a mover and seconder for this item? Moved, Councillor Figg. Seconded, Councillor Coetzee. Councillor Figg, would you like to speak to this item?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I believe that this is a long time coming. It's been a very long while since we have expanded our dog beach access within the City of Wanneroo, at the same time that we've had some pretty significant growth in the number of dogs owned by people within the City of Wanneroo, particularly registered ones, and frankly untold numbers that have not registered. I think this is a sensible way forward. I think these locations are pretty spot on. I don't see any issues with it, and the fact that there are developers or a developer in the Alkimos location specifically willing to provide more infrastructure should we go ahead is just an absolute bonus and something that we shouldn't really pass up. So I commend it, and I think that and hope that my fellow councillors will support the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Coetzee, would you like to speak to this item?
Just exactly what Councillor Fick said, and I'm very excited about the beach. This is for the dogs.
Thank you. Any speakers against this item? We have a question from Councillor Berry.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On page 14, it's got the financial implications, and it actually says that we will get these after a decision has been made. So administration's obviously anticipating that we're going to have annual operating costs, and they've not been able to tell us in the report what they are. However, we do have other dog beaches. Is there any sort of indicative costs that we would, benefit from knowing about before we vote on this item, please? That's my first question. I've actually got another two.
Director Lee.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. I don't have the costs of the current dog beaches with me this evening, so I wouldn't be able to provide that ahead of tonight's decision. But the intent in terms of providing financial information to council is that following public consultation, we'll consider the feedback that we've received. That'll help refine the sort of infrastructure that may be required to the different dog beaches, as well as what the operating nature of them might be. That'll inform the financial analysis and whether that's the upfront capital infrastructure cost, as well as the ongoing management of those areas. For example, we would need to look at the potential operational costs, not only in servicing extra waste bins, but also whether or not we'll be, to the extent that we'll be patrolling beaches to ensure compliance as well. So they're not, it will come down to the individual dog beach and the level of infrastructure and management that goes along with each.
Thank you, Director Lee. Councillor Berry.
Thank you. So I want to thank administration and the CEO for the response to the City's What's Happening publication. And I just want to ask a question of the CEO. It might be too late for us to utilise this publication for doing community consultation, but is it possible to align our projects that do impact the whole city, and a dog beach would impact everywhere? I mean, Lansdale don't have a beach, so if people want to visit the beach with a dog or without a dog, it would impact them. So would it be possible to have a look at what is coming to council in the future and align those to be able to put in something in the What's Happening publication so everybody is aware of what community consultation is coming up, and that way we'd hit every house? Thank you.
Mr. CEO.
Thank you, Councillor Berry, for your question, and I can see how you've come to that conclusion. I think in isolation, in a perfect world, something like that could potentially work, but as you can imagine, with the complexity and what the city deals with, quite often things don't follow I was going to say well organised. It's well organised, but there's all sorts of things that can affect project timing by days, weeks, months, and sometimes years. So I think we, in any project, we're always looking at communication channels, and potentially that, could be one from time to time, but it would almost be impossible to identify those projects up front and then work backwards from, the publication dates in terms of project timing.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Councillor Berry.
Thank you. And my last question relates to the toil time that is on page 3 of the report. The report assumes community drop-in sessions would require overtime or toil. Can I ask why officers wouldn't be rostered or redirected from their normal duties to undertake any community engagement within their normal working hours? Thank you.
Director Lee.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. Happy to answer that question. The assumptions that we included around the toil cost was based on the conversation that I recall at the briefing session, where the suggestion about having drop-in sessions was around making them on weekends. So to make them available for residents that weren't otherwise able to attend during the week, or also to capture them when they're out actually on site. And so we've made that assumption that it will happen on weekends when the team that will be undertaking this project don't normally work.
Thank you. Councillor Wright, you had a question?
Thank you, Mayor. Just one question from me going back to the community consultation part. I guess, can I suggest that we look at doing a campaign around encouraging people to sign up to Your Say? Obviously, building up the followers on Your Say leads to a positive outcome for everything because residents can choose whatever they want. I'm subscribed to pretty much everything of every suburb, so I get everything come through my email. But it's a matter of educating residents that that feature is available now that we do pay money for to maintain that platform. So would it be wise to use maybe that money, which not only fixes this particular problem, but also fixes any community consultation that comes forward because everything goes through our platform?
Mr CEO.
Thank you for the question, Councillor Wright. Look, I think it's a good suggestion, and I'm sort of looking over at the Acting Manager Comms and Brand. He's nodding away, so I'm assuming that he thinks it's a good idea as well. But I don't think it's a once-off. I think it's probably something we need to go back and revisit at least annually to make sure that people are aware that that channel exists. So we'll take that on board and see what we can come up with.
Thank you, Mr CEO. Do I have any speakers against, or have you got a question, Councillor Figg? Go for it.
Sorry, Mayor. It's actually just a quick point of clarification. Just in answer to I brought up UMS at the last meeting. I actually meant the unaddressed mail service, not the unified messaging service, just for future use. I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any speakers against this item? If there are no speakers against this item, Councillor, would you like the right of reply, Councillor Figg? Councillors, please cast your vote. Councillor Hugh Newen, do you support this vote or not? Thank you. So that's passed unanimously. We now go to item AS 010726, PT 10426, response to petition request for pedestrian crossing Kingsway Lansdale. Councillor Bedworth is not in the room at the moment. He does have a declaration of interest. Oh, sorry, Councillor Bedworth. Would you like to read your declaration of interest, please?
Yeah, thank you. With regard to this item, I disclose that due to my employment at Main Roads, there may be a perception that my impartiality on this matter may be affected, but I declare that I will consider this matter on its merits and vote accordingly.
Thank you. Do I have a mover and seconder for the substantive? Move, Deputy Miles. Do I have a seconder for the substantive? Councillor Wright. Deputy Mayor Miles, would you like to speak to the substantive?
Yeah, just briefly, thank you, Mayor. I think the administration comment is quite concise. The fact that we do support, obviously, the construction of the missing footpath, and that should definitely be done, and hopefully the petitioners will be advised of this decision through the normal process.
Thank you. Councillor Wright, would you like to speak to this item?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Do we have any speakers against this item? Councillor Hugh Newen.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move an alternative to the item. So do I do that at this stage or when?
You can only move an alternative if the motion is lost, Councillor Newen. Do you have any questions? You can speak against it if you would like to, Councillor Hugh Newen. Do you want to speak against the substantive?
Does that preclude me from moving an alternative or not?
No, it doesn't, but the substantive has to be lost before you can move the alternative.
Okay. All right. I'd like to speak against it, please.
Go ahead, Councillor Hugh Newen.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillors, I won't say too much in talking against, speaking against the substantive. I think I've already alluded the council to the issues that concerns me with this particular item and the way that it is being proposed in terms of recommendation. Like I said at the briefing session not too long ago, one of my main concerns is that the argument being used to basically say that we don't need to address the safety issue in this particular location is that crash data or accident data doesn't suggest that there is a rating score that is sufficient to warrant any works to be done as outlined in the petition. Now, my concern with that is that the argument is flawed in my respectful submission. It is flawed because we shouldn't be waiting until for an accident to happen. If we are aware that there is a safety issue, and we are aware because of the fact that there has been a petition with a large number of signatures. So I think there is a real concern, and even though the data doesn't reflect that entirely, it is close. From what administration tells us, it is close. The score rating is close. But if we wait for an accident to happen, then I think that's too little, too late. So we need to think about this very carefully. And as I've commented during the briefing session, the part of Kingsway from east to west that crosses this particular childcare centre has got a sharp bend of about 45 degrees. That is where the danger lies, and I know this area well because I live in the area and I traverse this section of Kingsway quite often. There is a very steep and there is a very sharp bend in the section of the road that increases the danger and the risk to children crossing with their parents to the childcare centre, and that is the underlying reason why the residents have felt the need to put up a petition with that many signatures. So I intend to move an alternative, and I think we should at least look at that because I believe that there's merits in what Councillor Bedworth and myself are going to be saying in the alternative. So I applaud you to at least give the alternative a consideration instead of moving ahead with voting for the recommendation as before you tonight, because I think we need to seriously consider doing something about this issue before someone gets hurt or even killed. That would then be too late. So on that basis, I urge you to vote against the recommendation as put before you by the administration so that the alternative can have an opportunity to be discussed, to be debated and to be considered. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Hugh Nguyen. Do I have any speakers for the item? Do I have any speakers against, or do you have questions, Councillor? Councillor Vin Nguyen has a question. Councillor Vin Nguyen, what is your question?
It seems like we've based the report on a survey on one day. Is that quite normal for us to just take a day's snapshot of the data and then present a recommendation?
Director Singh.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I think normally in these circumstances, we're looking for some representative data, which this particular video survey has provided.
Thank you, Director Singh. Do you have another question, Councillor Vin Nguyen?
Sorry, can you clarify, are you suggesting one day data is representative of what we actually need?
Director Singh.
As I said earlier, during the weekdays, you would expect the pattern to be pretty normal throughout that particular location. So that's where I think, in our opinion, the data which we received during one day is a videographic data. So that's considered to be sufficient in this instance.
Thank you, Director Singh. Councillor Vin.
Many questions.
I will do one at a time.
Thank you.
Councillor Vin Nguyen, go ahead.
Can you tell me which day is that, on what day? Because the report doesn't indicate, I guess, how that particular day affects the data. For example, it could be the weather condition. We know it's been pretty bad during the winter season. Is it during a school week? Is it during when the centres open? Do we have any of those data?
Director Singh.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. The report mentions on page 20 of the agenda papers that traffic counts were undertaken in May 2026, and they were done between the hours of peak time hours, 8 to 9 a.m. and 3 to 4 p.m. I don't have the actual date or the weekday, which day it was.
Thank you, Director Singh. Councillor Nguyen.
Do you agree that building this road is making it, is it safer for the pedestrian to cross because it's close to a roundabout? Is that the suggestion?
Director Singh.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. What we looked at, given that the work we've done indicates that the request for crossing doesn't meet the warrants of Main Roads WS guidelines, we looked at in this report what else can be done to provide safe crossing points. That's where the recommendation is to construct a missing footpath link, so there can be an opportunity for people to cross at the roundabout, which is more safer to do so.
Thank you, Director Singh. Councillor Nguyen.
Have we considered, as part of the report, I guess consider the vulnerable sort of pedestrians, not just, the everyday sort of pedestrians. So you're looking at parents, children, elderly, about crossing this road.
Director Singh.
Families, yes.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I think we have looked at the availability of what's available for pedestrian to cross that road at that particular site or in the vicinity. That's where we are recommending that the safest location could be the roundabouts on both sides, east and west of this particular site. And that's with the construction of a footpath, which will provide a continuous link between two roundabouts.
Thank you, Director Singh. Councillor Nguyen, you have another question?
Yes, I think the report also mentioned potentially raising a wombat crossing or reducing the speed limit to 40 kilometre with main roads. We haven't got that, have we?
Director Singh.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. At this stage, no. That's what, based on the information requested at the briefing session, we have included in the report that we will discuss these two items with Main Roads WS, see if they will consider it or not. And once we get the feedback from them, we can update council members. But in the meantime, based on our work undertaken, our work indicates that this doesn't meet the warrants of the crossing at that site.
Thank you, Director Singh. Councillor Nguyen, you have another question.
So just based on that response, is that premature for us to now commit our budget to something that we haven't yet received a response from Main Roads? And what if, for whatever reason in the future, Main Roads provide a support for this proposal?
Director Singh.
Thank you, Mayor. This crossing, if Main Road approves it, let's say, it's not in the budget at this point in time. So obviously, if Main Roads do give a positive indication, we'll analyze that, look at a concept design for that one, and then it has to be considered by council as part of the budget.
Thank you, Director Singh. Councillor Nguyen.
And would we be able to salvage what we've spent if we were to proceed with this prematurely?
Director Singh.
Through you, Mayor, what we'll be spending, what's recommended in this report, if council accepts the recommendation, is the construction of a small missing link, a footpath there. That will remain. That's required at some stage in any way. That's a missing link to provide a continuous footpath connection on the southern side. So that's not expenditure going to be wasted.
Thank you, Director Singh. Do you have another question, Councillor Nguyen?
I'd like to move a motion to postpone this item.
Do you have a seconder for your procedural motion?
Defer this item.
When do you want to defer it to, and by what time frame?
I guess it will be based on how long we'll get a response from main roads. So maybe would you consider 2 months be appropriate?
Director Singh.
Thank you, Mayor. I think we may get prelim response from Main Road within that period, but if they're looking for a full detailed assessment, it may need a longer time frame, maybe another month or so, 3 months.
So your procedural motion is?
To defer this item for 3 months until the fourth council meeting.
Okay. Do I have a seconder for this procedural motion? Councillor Seif has seconded the procedural motion. So, councillors, we will now go to the vote whether to postpone this item or not for the procedural motion. No. Okay. So the procedural motion has been supported 8-5. Those against it was myself, Councillor Wright, Councillor Parker, Councillor Figg and Councillor Morris. Those for it was Councillor Seif. You've blanked off my screen too soon. Okay, you all know who supported it. Thank you. Yep, because Councillor Huntley's out of the room. We now go to AS 02726, Tender 21123, provision of mobile watering and maintenance services of trees within streetscapes and arterial roads, retrospective contract value adjustment. Do I have a mover and seconder for this? Moved Deputy Mayor Miles, seconded Councillor Parker. Deputy Mayor Miles, would you like to speak to this?
No, thank you, Mayor. It's straightforward.
Councillor Parker, would you like to speak to this?
Nothing further to add. Thank
Any
you.
speakers against? Councillor Berry, you are speaking against this item?
I am, thank you, Madam Mayor. I won't be supporting this recommendation. I want to make it clear that my concern is not with watering our trees or the work undertaken by the contractor. Those services are important and necessary. My concern is that this council has been asked to retrospectively approve a significant increase to a contract after expenditure has already exceeded the CEO's delegated authority because of what the report describes as a contract management system error. Council's role is to provide oversight of public funds. Delegations exist for a reason, and when those delegations are exceeded, I believe it is appropriate for Council to ask why the matter was not identified and brought to us sooner. My concern is not whether the works were budgeted. My concern is that the approved contract value and the delegated authority were exceeded before this Council's approval was sought. These are governance issues. Approving this recommendation retrospectively risks sending the message that governance controls can be bypassed and dealt with after the event. That is not a precedent I am comfortable setting. I acknowledge that works have been completed and that continuity of the service is important. However, approving expenditure after the delegated authority has already been exceeded is different from approving it beforehand. For those reasons, I will not be supporting this recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Berry. Councillor Wright, you have a question?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just in noting what Councillor Berry has raised at the meeting, I'm just curious, as I asked the question at the briefing session, I wonder if administration's given any more thought. If Council doesn't support this recommendation, what are the legal ramifications? If Council doesn't approve the retrospective approval, what happens in that instance for paying the contractor? Does it come out of some other reserve or amount, or is it something that Council is kind of like, we have to approve it because, yeah, I'm wanting to know the legal ramifications.
Ms Coles.
Thank you for the question, Councillor Wright. So the city would be bound to pay for the services that it's received under the contract. However, as part of the compliance audit return each year, we do have to answer questions in relation to the use of delegation in procurement. So we would have to obviously identify through that a non-compliance through that process and confirm that it was not ratified by council when retrospective approval was requested.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, questions, Councillor Van Nguyen, go ahead.
Yes, and I share the concerns because somewhere along the line after we approved this contract, our system broke down and failed. And it's not clear why it wasn't picked up. And once we exceeded that limit, did we just continue to ask for more? I mean, at what point do we know that the error occurred and what did we do? It just seems like we've missed the boat, you know, entirely.
Director Singh, would you like to respond to that?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. The similar question was asked at the briefing session, and I outlined there that the initial contract, which when it was awarded in 2021 under the CEO's delegation, was for a 3-year period with possible 12 monthly extensions of 12 months each. At that time, the cost estimate, I think I provided that in the report, was 2.1 million, around that mark for the first period. And then there were some variations done, and another scope of work was changed in a sense that there was another contractor who was not performing. So we actually brought similar scope of work into this contract. That increased the value again. And during last extension, when the form was completed, there was a manual error in the transferring the actual figures into the form, which indicated the final expenditure will be below 5 million, but that wasn't the case. And that's where the error happened.
Thank you, Director Singh. Do I have any speakers for this item? Councillor Van Nguyen has another question. Councillor Van Nguyen.
I'm trying to understand the additional scope of work that you mentioned earlier. And can you explain that to me? Was there additional trees that we have to water, or there's increase in watering cycles?
Director Singh, could you respond to that question? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'm just looking for that information. There was a variation considered and approved under this contract to bring in the scope of work for a similar contract, which there was performance issues with the contractor. That contractor wasn't performing, so we brought that scope. It's not that we added the volume of the work for the same original scope. It was basically another contract work was brought into this contract. So that increased the value as well.
Thank you, Director Singh. Any other questions? Councillor Van Nguyen.
Were we able to compare the scope of work with an alternative supplier, or analysing potentially doing it in-house? I know we don't have the capacity at the moment, but this is something that we should consider.
Director Singh.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. A similar question again was asked at the briefing session, where there is a new tender report is coming up at next month's council meeting in August. So prior to that one, we will be providing council members with a briefing note, which will do a comparison of a similar service to be provided by in-house team and what's the pros and cons of that option will be. So that briefing note will come before you consider the report at next month's meeting.
Thank you, Director Singh. Do you have another question, Councillor Van Nguyen?
I won't go on, but I just do want to ask, what's the measure that we put in place now so this doesn't happen again?
Director Singh.
Thank you, Mayor. The control has been put in as part of the further consideration of any variations or any extensions of similar kind of contracts. There will be a check applied, and the form has been amended to include additional cells which will cross-check the expenditure at that point in time and the estimated expenditure to the future contract end date. That control will ensure that these kind of things are picked up much earlier.
Thank you, Director Singh. Are there any speakers for the item? Deputy Mayor Miles?
Just a question, just to reaffirm on what the General Counsel was saying. Will this item get referred to the Audit and Risk Improvement Committee for us to have a look at with a bit more detail, even so we might approve it tonight?
Ms Coles?
Thank you for the question, Deputy Mayor Miles. So this item won't come specifically to the Audit and Risk Committee. However, as part of the City's 3-year strategic audit plan, the procurement service unit is due for an internal audit in accordance with that plan. I'm not sure exactly when that is, if it's this financial year or next financial year, but it is in there.
Thank you. Do I have a speaker for this item? A question from Councillor Seif.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just confirming that these funds are from the operating budget.
Director Singh.
Yes, Mayor. Predominantly operating, but some are for capital works projects as well, where some of the similar kind of works are being delivered as part of capital infrastructure projects.
Thank you. Director Singh. Any more questions? Do you have a question, Councillor Bin Nguyen?
Can you just clarify that, that it's coming from the operating and not the capital budget? How does that work, given that we obviously approve, budgeted for this or like 4 million, something like that, and now we can just simply increase the budget?
Mr CEO.
Thanks, Councillor Nguyen. I'll let Director Singh jump in. This issue has never been about not budgeting correctly. Like, the city has budgeted correctly each and every year. But as you would be aware, you delegate authority to the Chief Executive Officer, and that is delegated down for the acceptance of some tenders. Where you can run into some challenges is where you accept a tender. There's variations, as Director Singh has pointed out today, and if you don't have really robust checks, balances and controls in place, you can find that the multiple variations tip you over that threshold. So I don't think at any point anyone's questioning the value of the work that's been undertaken. It's about the administrative approval process. I'll be the first to admit that when these things happen, I'm not overly impressed. As you can imagine. So the first thing we do is we go back and we look at where the error occurred. The one thing that I'm always doing is encouraging our staff in every instance when they identify an issue like this, they don't try and hide it, they bring it forward. As soon as this issue was identified, it was put in front of council to say, hey, hands up, we've made an error, we've fixed the process, and we need to tidy this up through a decision of council. So it's not about do we have the money available. That's never been an issue. It's about the administrative process versus the council process of accepting tenders beyond a particular threshold.
Thank you. Councillor Bedworth, would you like to ask a question?
Thank you. And it may be a long shot question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Has this ever happened before, and if so, when?
Director Singh.
As far as I can recall, it didn't happen exactly the similar, but we did bring a report to council before we exceeded the delegation at the time. There was a tender adopted by, accepted by the CEO under delegation, and then we knew that before expenditure incurred that it's likely to exceed the delegation, so we brought a report before council to seek approval.
Thank you. Do you have another question, Councillor Bedworth?
Thank you. Thanks for that answer. So it's apples with eggs. That wasn't a retrospective approval in that case then. So has a retrospective ever been sought?
Director Singh.
Not that I can recall it was retrospective. It was, I think we identified the issue before it happened.
Thank you. I have a question. If we didn't find that supplier was unsuitable, would both of the contracts have sat underneath the CEO's delegation and this would not have had to come to council?
Potentially, I need to look at the numbers again. It could have been still marginally below, but as part of the last extension, we may have exceeded that one, would have come to council for approval.
Thank you. Any other questions? Any speakers? Councillor Van Nguyen.
Sorry, I'm trying to understand how did we not pick this up? I'm trying to understand the governance and the process, where we went wrong, and when did we pick up this error? I mean, obviously it's a huge, significant increase from the original amount that we approved. I just don't want this to happen again, so I'm trying to understand, I guess, that process.
Mr. CEO.
I'll let Mr. Singh, I don't want it to happen again either, Councillor Nguyen, to be sure, but I'll hand over to Director Singh. My understanding was, and Director Singh can confirm, is that through that process there was an administrative error in an amount that was submitted, but I'll let Director Singh answer the question in detail.
Director Singh.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. That's exactly right. When last extension was approved, instead of transferring the amount which was estimated at that point in time, it was wrong amount was put in the form, and that's how the extension was approved. And based on that approved extension, it was not expected that it will exceed 5 million delegation. But as a matter of fact, it was going to do that. It should have been picked up at that time.
Thank you. You have another question, Councillor Van Nguyen?
Can I speak again?
Well, we need someone to speak for before you speak against. Councillor Alex Figg, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I will speak for because, one, I do believe that this ultimately is, I guess, in a way, it's a bit of a mea culpa. It's not something that any of us want to see, but it's also an aberration, I believe. I think that it is good of administration in this case to be bringing it to us, not trying to prolong the process, find ways to get around trying to find our authority. I also have, absolute respect for the views of, Councillor Berry, for example, in the reasoning as to why she won't support this. However, I believe that, one, it's good process to bring it back to us, notwithstanding the fact that it was poor governance throughout the process. It's good to bring it to us so that we do get to have an eyesight over it. I think hoping that it comes to audit and risk is an opportunity for us to have a look at what happened and what can change. And ultimately, as the contract currently stands, we get some value for money, from my understanding, per tree watering episode, I think it was referred to during the briefing session. And I believe that we should approve it. And I will add my own comment that I hope that we can find a way to bring it back in-house, because then we won't have to worry about this sort of thing with this area ever again. In saying that, I do hope that Council recognises the fact that administration has come to us recognising an error that, from what we can hear from our answers tonight, is very rare, in fact unique in this case, and that we can find our way to understand it better through our committee structure and let this one be approved by us retrospectively, understanding that it's something we don't want to happen again. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Figg. Speakers against? Councillor Van Nguyen.
It's Council's responsibility to make sure the trees are planted, and this is about governance for me, and I think it's concerning to put this simply as an administrative error. I think to categorise that as something that ordinary administrative error doesn't indicate that we're taking responsibility for it. And that to me is concerning, because this is a complete failure of our financial and procurement monitoring process. So I don't accept that explanation is sufficient. We need at least an internal audit of what actually happened to explain what this administrative error is, if not an external audit. None of us want this to happen. Now, we know what we want to see, but we need to put in place real measure to ensure that if council was to budget this at 4 million, or, it doesn't go more further than that. Now, this has gone under our eyes, it wasn't even picked up. The original contract was like 2 million. So we've gone way above what was originally contracted for. Now, we're now asked to budget in total 7 million. It's not clear what the balance, because I think we've spent over 5.5 million already. So there's another, just over $1 million left to be spent in the next 2 months. And the report doesn't identify what this money is for. There's indication that there's some additional scope, but I can't see any value for money. I can't see any metrics that's actually going to, in addition to the scope that's already originally sort of identified. Are we planting more trees? Are we increasing the cycle of the watering? Is it extra material, capital that we're spending on? It's really not clear and unsatisfactory with the response. I probably sound like a broken record saying no to everything on this council, but unfortunately, it's not acceptable at the end of the day. And to endorse this item without putting anything in place to stop this from happening in the future, I can't do that. So I won't be supporting it.
Thank you, Councillor Van Do I have a speaker for this item? Councillor Jordan Wright, did you speak to it when you seconded? No, you didn't. Okay, Councillor Jordan Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, just reflecting upon some of the conversations that councillors have contributed to this item, and I myself was toing and froing over this because I can understand both perspectives that have been raised. I guess what it comes down for me is around not supporting an item doesn't fix the outcome or doesn't change the outcome. At the end of the day, the mistake has happened. I guess the two questions that sort of made sense to me was one that Councillor Nguyen asked, Councillor Vin Nguyen, and one that was Councillor Bedworth that asked. And that was obviously around what controls are in place. And that to me seemed like it addressed the issue around having that checklist now for people to follow across the organisation. And the second point was around has this happened before? If it's happened multiple times, I think my speech and response would be very different, considering that it has been a unique circumstance, as Councillor Figg raised. I think as the governing board, I think we should be promoting a speak-up culture. I think we should be I wouldn't use the word applauding because that's probably the wrong word to use, but we should be encouraging administration to bring matters of non-compliance to council. Because by all means, the other approach is if administration is too scared to bring things to council, it can be we'll wait for that to appear in an audit 10 years from now when I may or may not be working at the city, and it's easy for a future council to decide, something that's happened when I'm not here, or and those things we've seen happened in councils over at the East Coast. And for us, I would much rather be part of a board that is happy to welcome people to bring non-compliance to the forefront and encouraging administration to come up with appropriate controls to address that. And obviously for our role to promote a speak-up culture and not scare the administration into bringing non-compliance up. So for me, voting against, personally, I don't see it's going to change the outcome. By all means, if our councillors still feel that they need to go down a path of more accountability, then there's obviously ways to do that through CEO KPIs, through other mechanisms in place, and I recommend those councillors do that through those forums. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Wright. Do I have a speaker against? Is that a question, Councillor Vignewan? I'll give you the question, then we'll go to Councillor Aman.
Sorry, can you clarify, is it a legal obligation to report these matters for council to make decisions? Because there seems to, I guess, a suggestion that it's optional, and we don't have to report it.
Ms. Coles.
Thank you for the question, Councillor Vignewan. So the Local Government Act allows council to delegate certain decisions to the CEO. Often there are conditions put on those delegations as part of the delegation register, and those conditions follow through to other officers that the CEO delegates those responsibilities. Although there's nothing specific in there in relation to non-compliance, when a delegation is not followed, the good governance principles would be that it is brought to council for review, and obviously this one is for retrospective approval. But as I mentioned before, there is also the responsibility as part of the annual compliance audit return to report any non-compliances against the Local Government Act in that compliance audit return, and that is audited by the city's external internal auditors, Paxson. So this would be reported for the specific year, so it won't be in the one that you'll see shortly. It will be in the one, because the compliance audit return is calendar year, so 1st of January to 31st of December, and we report it through that.
Thank you.
Just one more.
One more question, Councillor Vignewan.
Do we have checks and balance in place that would, I guess, that would not simply just encourage people to report the non-compliance, but that would stop someone from that doesn't rest on one person deciding whether to report it or not?
Mr. CEO.
So one person who finds out the non-compliance and then decides whether or not to report it, because if that is the case, that rests on one particular person, then I don't think the checks and balances are in place.
Mr. CEO.
Thank you for the question, Councillor Newell. I think Councillor Wright hit the nail on the head when he spoke earlier. It's about your culture, and it's about everyone feels safe to speak up when things happen that they don't think are right. I can assure you, with an issue like this, passes through a number of hands. It's not just dependent on the one person. And even when it gets to me, we're trying to build a culture here at the city where even if I do something that's not, technically correct or doesn't comply with the city's values, that a staff member at any level would be prepared to raise that as well. So that's the type of environment we're trying to create. So in essence, the 1,157 staff that we have here should all be willing and able to raise issues that they're uncomfortable about, and that would go obviously up the chain and eventually find its way to council if that was the most appropriate reporting mechanism.
Thank you. Councillor Muncie, if you're speaking against, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I certainly do appreciate the ability to speak up when there's an error without fear. 100% I support that culture. People should be able to come forward when they make a mistake. I am voting against this item this evening because this level of error, in my view, accounting standards, there is more than one location where the error has occurred. For example, If you have debits and credits over here, so an error's happened over there, you have something else called a trial balance over there, that number needs to match that number, so that's that location, and the matching of the two, so that's already 3. So I will be voting no, because to me this is an indication of more than one spot where an error has occurred.
Thank you. Any speakers for? If there are no speakers for, I'll go to Deputy Mayor Miles for the right of reply.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just briefly, and as always, councillors do have their right to speak on an item either against or before. I think it's very clear, Councillor Figg, Councillor Wright argued the point quite clearly. There was an error discovered. It was from a transferring of data from one, I understand, from one sort of system to another. That data was incorrect and then the error occurred. The issue I have, I still want the trees in my suburbs, my ward, watered. Nobody else wants theirs watered, then vote against the item and watch the trees die. We spend a lot of money on a policy that this council approved for 3,000 trees to be planted every year. That's what I'm supporting. I note in the report that the director has already done a tender, and I think it's closed and it will be coming to us shortly for reissue. I think that's obviously where we will see some other changes. I'm encouraged by the fact that the internal audit will be auditing this area in the future, maybe later this year, if not next, and I think that will pick up. I don't agree that there are 3 points of error within our accounting process. A simple error was made in this area, very large budgets in these directors, especially in infrastructure. It was picked up, clearly articulated in the report, and the administration's asked us to approve some expenditure that's not covered so they can move on and start awarding new tenders. Thank you, councillors.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Miles. I'll just note that we now have 12 councillors in the room for the vote. So, councillors, could you please cast your vote for this item? Thank you. And the council recommendation is supported. We have 8 councillors supporting it. We have 4 against. Those against are Councillor Seif, Councillor Bedworth, Councillor Berry and Councillor Van Nguyen. Those 4 are myself, Councillor Huntley, Deputy Mayor Miles, Councillor Smith, Councillor Figg, Councillor Coetzee and Councillor Parker. We now go to Community in Place, CP 010726, to consider the proposed location of the Changing Places facility in Clarkson Town Centre, CP 020726, facility hire and use policy review. Do I have a mover and seconder for this? Move, Deputy Mayor Miles. Second.
Mayor, I was going to ask if we were going to have a short break.
Okay, yep, we haven't got a seconder yet, so now we go to a mover and seconder to take a short break. The break is moved by Councillor Berry, seconded by Councillor Wright. Please vote for a break. And Councillor Van Nguyen was against and the other 11 councillors supported. So we now have a short break. Thank you.
Till what time, please, Mayor?
The break will be until 8:15. Thank you. resumes at 8:15 p.m. And I just note that Councillor Vignewan has left and we're down to 11 councillors. We are now at item CP 010726 and we do have an amendment to that item. And I was wondering, Councillor Bedworth, would you be happy to move the substantive with the amendment in the substantive?
Absolutely.
Okay, so who would be prepared to second the substantive as amended? Councillor Berry. Okay, Councillor Bedworth, would you like to speak to the item as amended?
Yes, I will, and thank you, Mayor, and thank you, colleagues, for listening. I've not prepared anything in terms of a speech for this because I'm going to keep it short and sweet, but the amendment as I've constructed it really only builds on what administration have already built into the report, in so much as it formally requests that they pursue alternative forms of funding from state and federal government to fund such a Changing Places facility in Clarkson. Which I know the report does say, but this formalises it and makes a compulsion on administration to do so as well. And equally, it also requests that they continue their great advocacy in regards to these sorts of facilities, but also to report back to council with only a briefing note outlining the investigations and the status of those funding opportunities and where we stand with these things. As you will all know, I have a big belief in following the SMART principle with any kind of project, and I like things to be time bound and reported on, and that's all the amendment in my opinion seeks to do. And consequently, I just ask that you all consider that as I've explained it and vote in favour. That would be appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bedworth. Councillor Berry, would you like to speak to this item?
Yes, please. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll keep my speech brief. Basically, access to appropriate toilet facilities is a basic human right for everybody, and we all take it for granted, so other people should be able to. Around 1 in 5 Australians live with a disability, and with Australia's ageing population and demand for accessible facilities growing, I do think it's the right thing to do to approve this. More than 4.4 million Australians live with a disability, and 1 in 6 Australians is aged 65 or over. For many of these people and for their families and carers, the availability of a changing place facilities can determine whether they're actually able to leave home and go out or not. The proposal is inclusive of everybody. It's an important step in delivering on the city's own disability access and inclusion plan. I support where it is in Clarkson Town Centre. I think it's an excellent place to put it, with all the banks, shops, restaurants, library, police station, and access to the state and federal members there as well. So locating the facility there will just benefit all the residents and visitors and provide a greater opportunity for everybody to access that area. This investment is in dignity, inclusion and accessibility for all. And for those reasons, I'd urge everyone to support it, and the amendment that just actually asks for more funding or consideration of more funding, as Councillor Bedworth has said. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Berry. Do I have any speakers against? If there are no speakers against, councillors, I ask that you cast your vote. And that is passed unanimously. We now go to CPO 10726 to sorry, that was the amendment. CPO 20726 facility hire and use policy review. Councillor Wright has an amendment for this item. Do I have a mover and seconder for it?
I don't have a seconder, but Councillor Figgs popped his hand up, so thank you.
Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the substantive. I haven't clarified whether the amendment is being moved with the substantive. Would you?
I'm happy to move it with the substantive as amended.
Okay, Councillor Figger, you're happy to move it with the substantive, with the amendment? Okay. So therefore, Councillor Wright, would you like to speak to the substantive as amended?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, and thank you to the administration for bringing the policy for review, which I believe was a procedural motion, I think, from Policy Review Committee. and appreciate the team's work on reviewing that policy. I guess my two concerns with the original was around the school hiring fees. And obviously through the administration's investigation, they've obviously found that the proposal is not that far off from other local governments, but at the same time being fair in how we apply concession rates, obviously looking after City of Wanneroo schools and not being able to discount other schools from outside the region and the district. And for me, that was quite new. I didn't see any other local governments discounting other schools from other districts nearby. So I just think it brings a line to a more contemporary framework. I do note as well, and I believe the council support team had, there was one change that was made which the director forwarded through to me, and I forgot to raise that at the start, and obviously with consent from Councillor Figg. With all the school bookings that are happening at the moment, the Community in Place team have requested that apply from the 1st of January 2027, and I've said I've accepted that, but obviously it's up to the group to, if they wish to accept that. But it just makes sense, obviously, from a budgeting perspective and obviously applying that through the mid-year budget review process. So I just thought I'd raise that as I forgot. However, yeah, obviously the policy needs to adapt to the circumstance, and obviously as council is going through and looking at expenditure costs, I think this is one of those ones where, for me, I would much rather see subsidies and concessions going to people that live in the City of Wanneroo, as opposed to trying to give them out to everyone that may or may not visit the district. So I'll keep my comments there, but thank the Administration and Council for their consideration.
Councillor Figg, would you like to speak to this? And if you have a look on the overhead projector, item C on the amendment says authorises these changes to take effect from the 1st of January 2027. Are you happy with that, Councillor Figg, with the amendment? Would you like to speak to the item? Thanks, Councillor Figg.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Wright, for bringing the amendment to this one. I am fully in support of ensuring that, given our current appetite for cutting back on what we can and saving money where we can as a council to minimise the impact on ratepayers, the fact that we currently provide a concession to those who are based outside of the City of Wanneroo is I think, overly generous. I think that we have a duty to our local residents that live within the district to ensure that they are the beneficiaries of any concessionary policies that we put in place. And I believe that the amendment captures that in its essence. Fully supportive of it. Noting administration's lack of support for Part A of the, is that where it's written in here? Yeah, sorry, Part A of the amendment. I believe that this is something that administration can probably, in my mind, go away and work on to ensure that it is workable within the bounds of how council has directed this to be taken forward. And hopefully there is something that comes out of it that is workable from a practical perspective from administration. The rest of it's obvious. I think the rest of it makes sense, and I support it as it is currently written.
Thank you. Any speakers against? If there are no speakers against, councillors, please cast your vote. And that is passed unanimously. 11 councillors supporting it. We now go to CP 030726, the Festival Awards and Cultural Events Advisory Group Terms of Reference. Do I have a mover and seconder for the substantive? Moved, Councillor Seif. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Huntley. Councillor Seif, would you like to speak to this item?
I'll keep it short, thank you, Madam Mayor. Basically, I need to make do I need to make my declaration?
Yes, go ahead.
Declare that I am the State Councillor for Walga and I am on the Honours Panel, which is the deciding body for Walga Awards. So this change is to remove Walga Awards from being reviewed by the FACE Committee. As the chair of the FACE Committee, I am more than happy for that to happen. Awards nominations should be independent and should not be going to smaller committees prior, and so I'm in full support of this.
Thank you. Councillor Huntley, would you like to speak to this item?
Madam Mayor, I thought this was going to be an amendment. I didn't realise it was an alternative, so I'm actually going to withdraw my support for this.
Okay, do I have a seconder for this item? Pardon? For the substantive. Okay, Councillor Parker, would you like to speak to the substantive?
Yes, I think as a member of the FACE committee, I think I have always enjoyed being on this committee, and I think it's actually an important committee. I think we discuss a lot at the time. I know Councillor Wright here is looking at me and smiling, but to me, just to hear the feedback from administration as to how many people attended whatever it was through the year and how they're going to be improving, and to hear about what they actually do is actually really important. In fact, I'd like the whole of council to be able to hear and get the appreciation and how much our administration actually put into all of these things that they do for our residents, because this is, for me, this is a huge part of what the city is about. So, yes, I'm supporting this item because of the same reasons that you did bring up, and thank you for bringing that up. That was a discussion that we did have, so it's really good to see it here. Yeah, that's about it.
Thank you. Any speakers against? Councillor Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, I will speak against, obviously not knowing the outcome of the vote, so I just want to be able to articulate my points to the council. Look, for me, I see there is an opportunity for a way forward that everyone can still be able to do it. And I think whether the mechanism and the format and structure is the right one to do so. For me, I've struggled over the years, both with current councillors and former councillors. And obviously the work that FACE does is valuable in terms of the high success rates of our community events team, as well as obviously going through the nominations process and those types of items that generally go to FACE. I guess for me, and noting that some of the past concerns around delegated authority and whether the groups have the right to be able to make budget decisions, and again, my view is probably different of the administration's, but in the past, obviously the approval process for events have come from FACE, and obviously the administration has implemented changes to that. However, obviously as council's going through a review and a bit of a modernisation process, I see there's an opportunity to still have the staff to be able to share their passion and talk about the events. I see that happening through a budget workshop process where council, the whole of us, can reflect on those events. We can contribute to providing success and commentary about prior years, and also reflect on the new schedule that's put forward. And I think considering that every year, in my view, council is getting harder and harder and looking at budget in more detailed terms, and wanting more information and wanting to be able to interrogate numbers, I think at the moment there is not that opportunity to do so once it's reviewed by FACE, because these items are put in the budget as line items, and as councillors are aware, we can't pick individual line items and start pulling numbers apart. And I remember I tried to do it once and it was frowned upon. So I think by creating an opportunity for an actual item to come to the forum, to be able to talk about it, everyone's around the room, and obviously for the awards programs to come to a concept forum, I believe it still keeps the intent that council has oversight in regards to these, but obviously elevates that to a more strategic conversation around financial implications. So I think obviously the current terms of reference as they're drafted in front of us, I believe while it has served us in the past, I think as we move forward and we want to come up with more efficient ways to be able to improve timing of council items, and obviously ensuring that everyone around the table is able to be heard, I see there is an opportunity to obviously look at whether the current format that the group currently operates in is the best use of councillors' times, and whether there is other opportunities that could provide a more appropriate forum. And obviously, if councillors love events and they want to look at more events or less events, then the budget workshop would probably be the best place to do that, because that has a direct impact on the budget, as opposed to the time lapse between a FACE meeting versus a budget. So I think it's just sort of cleaning it up a bit more, but still providing the intent of what FACE was there for, ensuring that the staff and the events team are able to present, but ensuring that whole of council feedback is captured. So that's the reason why I'm not supporting the current terms of reference as drafted, and I hope council members will support the alternate and vote down the substantive. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I wish to speak to this item. We have a whole heap of committees and a whole heap of advisory groups, and I feel that this is the second one we're looking at picking off without reviewing all of them and deciding what we want to do. And I think there is a review coming about all of our committees and advisory groups coming to a concept forum. So therefore, I think the discussion about whether a advisory group or a committee goes ahead is something that we should do through a concept forum after we've balanced the value of each one of them and where we want to cut and where we want to increase. Understanding that this might be an opportunity for some low fruit, but we're not looking at it in reflection over all of the committees and all of the advisory groups. So therefore, for that reason, I support this amendment to the terms of reference, and I look forward to reviewing all of the committees and the advisory groups in a concept forum where we all work together as to what we see as most valuable to look at taking opportunities and time management. But I think picking low-hanging fruit is at looking at the whole concept. Thank you. Anyone to speak against? Councillor Berry has a question.
Thank you. From what you've just said, Madam Mayor, can admin tell us when the committee review is coming to council forum for us to look at all the committees and working groups, please? Thank you.
Mr CEO.
Thank you, Councillor Berry, for the question. I did feel that would be a question that would be asked as soon as the Mayor said that in her speech. The review that's currently happening is everybody's favourite policy is up for review, which is our meetings of council and council forums meeting policy. And the reason that we're going to consider all of the individual working groups and committees is that we did receive a fair bit of feedback through that survey process that the amount of days that councillors are required to attend and the hours to attend so many different meetings is really taking its toll. So we've put together a discussion paper. I think that might even be going to settlement tomorrow. Sorry, I'm just going to ask, which meeting is it going to? 18th of August will be the concept forum that it will be discussed. So it's more about the days that council meets and how it meets and how often, but you know, you're going to have to make some decisions around what groups you're going to continue with, because that particular policy selects the days that occurs.
Thank you. Do I have any speakers against? Okay. Councillor Seif, would you like the right of reply?
Actually, just in case, I just want to thank everyone who is on the FACE committee, and I'd like to thank the staff, including yourself, Madam Mayor, Councillor Parker, Councillor Smith, Councillor Miles, if I missed anyone that's on the FACE committee, Councillor Rowe, I believe. But I'd also like to thank, Stacey Connor-Brown, because she does an excellent job and she provides some excellent information, and our events are amazing, partly because of her and her team and under Director Kirsty Davies.
Thank you. Councillors, please cast your vote. And the recommendation is lost, so we now go to the alternative. Those who voted against it was Councillor Huntley, Deputy Mayor Miles, Councillor Bedworth, Councillor Smith, Councillor Coetzee and Councillor Berry, Councillor Wright. Those who supported it was myself, Councillor Seif, Councillor Figg and Councillor Parker. Councillor Wright, would you like to speak to the alternative?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I do,
and do you have
need
a
a seconder?
seconder?
Yeah, I was just about to say. Councillor Smith's, or as raised her hand. Thank you, Councillor Smith. Look, I'm not going to reiterate my comments because I sort of did that in my previous speech, but I thank Council for obviously looking at the alternate, and obviously I look forward to that review and having a bit more of a holistic level or having a conversation with the rest of the group around what does the future of the City of Wanneroo look like from a council perspective. And obviously, I think there's a lot of opportunities to optimise time and make sure that council members have the right forums to be able to articulate their views and make sure that all issues are covered. So I look forward to a more holistic review, but obviously as they come up, if I can try and pick at them to help our decision later down the track, then I see that as a bit of an opportunity as opposed to all of us trying to fight at the end and understand. So thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Smith, would you like to speak to the alternative? Thank you. If there are no speakers against, councillors, cast your vote. So there were 8 supporting, 3 against. Those against was myself, Councillor Seif and Councillor Parker. Those supporting was Councillor Huntley, Deputy Mayor Miles, Councillor Bedworth, Councillor Smith, Councillor Figg, Councillor Coetzee and Councillor Berry and Councillor Wright. We now go to corporate strategy and performance, the financial activity statement for the period ended the 31st of May. Could I have a mover and seconder for this item, please? Moved Councillor Wright. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Figg. Councillor Wright, would you want to speak to this item?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Figg, would you like to speak to this item?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Any speakers against? Councillor Berry has a question. Go ahead, Councillor Berry.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can administration advise whether the current favourable variances continue to represent timing differences, or have we now got some genuine savings in there, please? That's my first question.
Director Williston.
Sure, and thank you through you, Mayor. So as part of the budget process, so at the special council meeting on the 7th of July, you'll recall that we discussed some estimated actuals for the end of the financial year. So that was the best estimate of what the position was at that point in time. I think at the last council meeting, I also reported that we were looking like closing with around a $6 million deficit overall. So that gives you an indication of how favourable the end of year position was looking. You know, that number is continuing to move as we're working through the end of financial year position.
Thank you. Any other questions, councillors? If there are no other questions, any speakers against? If there are no speakers against, councillors, please cast your vote. And that was passed unanimously. We now go to CSO 207-26, warrant of payments for the period to the 31st of May 26. Do I have a mover and seconder for this? Mover, Councillor Huntley. Seconder, Councillor Wright. Councillor Huntley, would you like to speak to this item?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Wright, would you like to speak to this item?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Any speakers against? If there are no speakers against, councillors, cast your vote. And that is passed unanimously. We now go to CS 03-07-26, proposed agreement for lease and ground lease to No Limits Perth over a portion of Reserve 28058, 100 Kingsway, Madeley. I am moving the substantive with the amendment attached, and Councillor Seif is moving the substantive with the amendment attached. So we all know what No Limits do for our community. They do an amazing good for our community, and to be able to give them a home that they can have and work from instead of having to pay rent in Wangara, this is fantastic. I look forward to seeing this not-for-profit organisation go from strength to strength, and I'm excited to see the groundbreaking of that happening. Councillor Seif, would you like to speak to this item? Sorry? Declaration. Oh, okay. Okay, I'll let Councillor Seif speak to it and then do the declaration. Councillor Seif?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So just for those who don't know what they do, I'll be very quick. So they look after the most vulnerable in our community with pre-loved furniture. I'm reading off of their website. Helping people move and create a new start for themselves. Food hampers, back-to-school packs, mobile laundries, community hubs where people can get haircuts, vets come to look after people's pets, laundry, community cooking, justice of the peace services, and they are available all the time, 24/7. The largest organisations across Perth that look after our most vulnerable get the majority of the funding. Those organisations then refer their clients to No Limits, and I am eternally grateful to Janine Wood and No Limits. Thank you.
Thank you. Any speakers against?
Question?
A question? Oh, sorry, we'll do Jackie's declaration first.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. With regard to this item, CS03-0726, proposed agreement for lease and ground lease to No Limits, I disclose that No Limits are now providing Paws for Wildlife with the food left over from their hampers. They supply an enormous amount of feed for the wildlife, and as a consequence there may be a perception that my impartiality on the matter may be affected. I declare that I will consider this matter on its merits and vote accordingly.
Thank you. You have a question, Councillor Wright.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just in the administration comment, I'm just wanting to clarify that this is consistent with what we've done at the Wildflower Society in the Northern Suburbs Men's Shed. I'm just wanting to make sure that we are being consistent, because I remember, I'm not sure whether it was that one, but there was another community group at another site that had also asked for the same, but we were unable to cover the full cost. I'm not sure whether that was obviously looked at. So I'm just wanting to make sure we are being consistent and that we aren't favouring particular groups, and that we are having a consistent approach. So I'm just seeking clarification on that point.
Director Wollaston.
Sure, thank you, and through you, Mayor. So the officer's recommendation is consistent with what's been offered to Wildflower Society in the Men's Shed. I think you mentioned the Mayor incorporating the amendment as well, and that would provide additional benefit above what's been provided to those neighbouring tenants.
Sorry if I may.
Councillor Wright.
Sorry if I may clarify. You mentioned officer's recommendation. The reason why I'm asking in terms of consistency is obviously I may be open to moving a motion of dissent that it not be joined, and I'm just wanting to make sure before that a consistent approach is being outlined. So I'm just wanting to make sure we are being fair. I understand you're taking this as the whole report, but in your response you mentioned officer's recommendation. My question is around the amendment that is obviously in our green packs. Is this approach consistent with the other user groups at that particular site? If we are going above and beyond what we've provided to other user groups, then that needs to be highlighted. So I'm just wanting to understand, is this or is what has been incorporated into the substantive consistent with what's being done for other user groups, either at the same site or through lease negotiations that are coming through of this nature around the not-for-profit space?
Director Wollaston.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Just confirming, as I just mentioned, the amended terms are additional to what is being provided to other user groups.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Miles.
Yeah, thank you. Just to ask further question of administration, when my question is when the Men's Shed was doing their lease down there, and the lease originally had some large sums of money in there. Council waived a considerable part of those costs so they could at least start their build. Has administration been able to support the men's shed get their building delivered with the funding that they had available through the election?
Mr Greer.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for the question, Deputy Mayor. The reference to the additional amounts, I understand that was probably a reference to the first men's shed report in 2022. And then there was a subsequent report, obviously a lot more recently. There were amounts that were still being determined that were in that first report that Council ultimately deferred. When it came back more recently, the amounts were consistent with the figures that are in the No Limits report. So there weren't, in the end, additional amounts that the city had contributed or waived. It was simply just that we understood the scope of their project better, and we were able to give more accurate information. In terms of the progress with the men's shed, the site is very close to completion. My understanding is that the majority of the work for the shed has been finished through the building contract. They're just working through final certification and I think some of the fit out inside. In terms of the funding, pardon me, the funding that the state provided and the status of that, I'm unable to comment on that. That's would be between the men's shed and the state.
Deputy Mayor Miles.
Yeah, just to follow up, thank you, Mayor. Just on that, are the buildings that are being built, whether it be the men's shed, Wildflower, or even No Limits, would they then eventually possibly become council facilities? So it's up to us as a council to make sure that we do get everything in place to make sure if those buildings are having to be handed back, that we don't get lumbered with remnant sort of buildings.
Director Willis.
Yes, and through you, Mayor. So yeah, those buildings would be handed back at the end of the lease, unless, of course, the lease was extended or perhaps leased to another tenant.
Any other questions? Speakers against?
Sorry, Mayor, I've got a question.
Oh, we can't see you online, Councillor Bedworth, but ask your question.
Yeah, I'm just interested to know, and forgive me, but the comparable user groups in the city that I've had assistance, such as the men's shed, are they all registered charities?
Director Williston.
Through you, Mayor. It probably wouldn't be very difficult to find out, but we'd have to take it on notice. I don't know the answer off the top of my head.
Thank you. Do you have another question, Councillor Bedworth?
Yeah, just one other, thank you, Mayor, through yourself. Given the service provision that No Limits give, do we have any awareness of any external funding that can be accessed to assist with this particular amendment?
Director Williston.
So through you, Mayor, so we haven't investigated other external funding ourselves. However, we understand that, it would be unlikely that No Limits would be looking to proceed unless they had external funding available to support, the other components of the costs here. So as we've mentioned in the administration's comment to the proposed amendment, they are funded by various grants, donations and philanthropic sources, and they're also intending to generate additional revenue streams through the proposed on-site cafe. So they haven't disclosed a funding shortfall to us.
Thank you. Do I have any do you have another question, Councillor Bedworth? Okay.
No, thank you. That's it.
Cool. Okay. Do I have any speakers against? If there are no speakers against, I have the right to reply. Councillors, I do ask that you support this. What these people do for our community without receiving a wage as a volunteer, not-for-profit, and how they support people when they're at their lowest of their low, when they're homeless and with domestic violence issues. They are amazing with what they do with their unconditional support. And so therefore to have an organisation like that within our city, helping the people of our city at their worst, I think it's of greatest benefit, and I ask that you support this as amended. Thank you, councillors. Please cast your vote. That is passed unanimously. Thank you, councillors. We now go to item CEO 10726, Constable Care Foundation Sponsorship Agreement 2026-27. Councillor Parker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move a procedural motion under 7.1A to defer this item to a future concept forum within the next 3 months.
Do you have a seconder for that? Deputy Mayor Miles? Thank you. Councillors, could you please cast your vote for the procedural motion to defer this to a concept forum within 3 months? I have 9 supporting this and 2 against it. Those against it are Councillor Wright and Councillor Berry. Those supporting it are myself, Councillor Sieve, Councillor Huntley, Councillor Miles, Councillor Bedworth, Councillor Smith, Councillor Figg, Councillor Parker, Councillor Coetzee, and it wasn't Councillor Miles, it was Deputy Mayor Miles. Sorry, I was reading them off. We now go to the next item on the agenda, which is CEO 20726, Review of District Boundaries Preliminary Report. Do I have a mover and seconder for this item? Move Deputy Mayor Miles. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Sieve. Deputy Mayor Miles, would you like to speak to this item?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. It was an item that I brought up and asked Council or Administration to have a look at. I'm very happy with the report, and obviously we'll be watching with the future growth in our areas and to see what a state government may do in the next 5 years. Bearing in mind, councillors, we currently have 230,000, and in 10 years' time we will have 315,000 residents to look after. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Miles. Councillor Sieve, would you like to speak to this item? Anyone to speak against this item? Councillor Figg.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, I've swung wildly on this one in my head, thinking that it's, we should just accept what the recommendation says. It's a fair recommendation. I think it's balanced. But my heart tells me that the northern coastal suburbs and our southern and central suburbs both lose out with being condensed into the single district overall. I certainly respect and probably expect council to vote this down, vote for the recommendation, vote for it. So, and I understand that is probably the more responsible decision to do at the current time. But I want it to be known that as it currently stands, we have a massive infrastructure pipeline of renewal and upgrades. We have a massive infrastructure pipeline of new buildings. I think that, yes, there may be some economies of scale to be had, but the ability to focus on what we need to focus on for the next 15 or 20 years is vast, particularly given our growth. I think that the opportunity to split will only get further from us the longer we wait. I think it'll get more expensive. And when I was first elected, something that I wanted to broach, and I thank Councillor Miles for bringing the motion in the first place, is to see if a city of Yanchep was feasible. Not a town, not a shire, it would be a city from the outset. So it's not incomprehensible to think that it's possible. I know that it would be very expensive, and I certainly understand if and when council may vote the current report as recommended through tonight. I just want it known that I believe that we do need a City of Yanchep. I believe that the City of Wanneroo and City of Yanchep are both financially feasible, and I believe that notwithstanding the initial upfront costs, I think the overall benefits would have been quite good, and that's my say on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Figg. Do we have any speakers for? If there are no speakers for, Deputy Mayor Miles, would you like the right of reply? Okay, councillors, please cast your vote. Okay, we have 9 supporting the recommendation and 2 against. Those against were Councillor Coetzee and Councillor Figg, and those for were myself, Councillor Seif, Councillor Huntley, Deputy Mayor Miles, Councillor Bedworth, Councillor Smith, Councillor Wright, Councillor Berry and Councillor Parker. We now go to appointment of Deputy Presiding Member to the Policy Review Committee. Do I have anyone who wants to be the Deputy Presiding Member of the Policy Committee? I had here that maybe Councillor Figg might be interested, so I'll put Councillor Figg down. Is there anyone else? If there's no one else, can I have a mover and seconder for a move, Deputy Mayor Miles, and seconded Councillor Wright? Are there any speakers against? If there are no speakers against, councillors, please cast your vote. And that is passed unanimously, may I say. Congratulations, Councillor Figg. We now go to item 9, motions on notice, MN010726 from Councillor Berry, which is dogs on leads. Councillor Berry, do you have a seconder for your motion on notice?
I do, thank you, Madam Mayor. It's Councillor Bedworth.
Would you like to speak to your motion on notice, Councillor Berry?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I won't go into great yards of detail. I think this one's been back to forum and then been back again, and I think we're all aware of how contentious dogs can be. So I'm pleased to move this motion because it's about providing a choice in our community. Our city has invested significantly in off-lead dog exercise areas, fenced dog parks and dog beaches, and we continue to do that. And those facilities remain extremely important. Many residents enjoy exercising their dogs off-lead, and I fully support providing those opportunities. However, I often also hear from many residents who would like somewhere they can walk, knowing that dogs will remain on a lead. These include older residents, families with young children, people living with a disability, or those with mobility challenges. There's also people who are anxious around dogs, and responsible dog owners who have their own dogs are more comfortable in an on-lead environment than an off-lead environment being approached by other dogs. This motion does not seek to reduce existing off-lead opportunities. It simply asks admin to investigate providing areas in each suburb where dogs are required to remain on a lead, giving residents a genuine choice in how they enjoy their local public open space. As our community continues to grow and becomes more diverse, our parks should cater for the differing needs and preferences. Providing both off-lead and on-lead options is a balanced, practical approach that recognises not everyone wants the same experience. Importantly, today's motion is only seeking a report back to Council. It allows administration to consider suitable locations. It allows for community consultation. It allows for other operational matters before Council makes a final decision. I do believe in providing a choice, and thank you for listening to me, and I hope everyone will support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Berry. Councillor Bedworth, would you like to speak to this?
I will very briefly. Thank you, Mayor. I'm sure all my colleagues around that table will agree when I say, generally speaking, I'm someone that balks at clipping people's civil liberties and wings in that regard. However, when I've got to admit, I had some reticence about this motion on notice when it first appeared, but since it's been through the forum process and further discussions, I'm happy where it's landed now, that it's a justified position that we're seeking to retain here, in so much as utilising potential spaces where it's not actually common sense to have dogs off lead. The smaller parks, the smaller areas where actually before your dog's even stretched its legs, it's run out the other side of the park. So, you know, I'm very happy to support this now. Now it's been through several iterations and plenty of emotional discussion. And I'm rest assured that it's not actually clipping anybody's wings or restricting any freedom of choice so much. It's providing more choice for those people that don't have dogs while still retaining the opportunities for those of us with dogs to still have those sensible areas to exercise them appropriately. So I'm happy to support this, and I ask that you all support it also. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bedworth. Do I have any speakers against this motion on notice? If there are no speakers against this motion on notice, I think we'll go straight to the vote. Thank you. Are we missing Councillor Bedworth on there? We've got it. So that's passed unanimously. We now go to item 10, late reports. We have none, but we do have an urgent business under a separate sheet. I need a procedural motion to go into urgent business. Do I have a mover and seconder? Deputy Mayor Miles. And a seconder, Councillor Wright. Councillors, could you please cast your vote to go in to deal with this urgent business? Thank you. To deal with it. I'm missing someone. And that is passed unanimously. And Mr. CEO will take it from here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. So obviously we need to, or Council needs to nominate somebody to be the delegate to the Mindarie Regional Council. We did call for nominations. So far I've received a nomination from Councillor Helen Berry and a second nomination for Councillor Paul Miles. So before we close nominations, are there any further councillors who wish to nominate for this position? And we'll prepare the ballots accordingly. Okay, so at the close of nominations, we have 2 nominees. So we're going to hand out ballot papers. The instructions are that you complete the name of the councillor you wish to support. We do have a booth over there if anyone wants confidentiality. We'll then count those ballots and we'll determine who has won the ballot. Thank you, Mayor.
Sorry, Mayor, can I just ask how it's proposed that I vote?
Maybe you need to text Vicky Coles, please, the council, the General Counsel.
Will do.
Thank you to the team for coordinating the ballots. In accordance with Regulation 11F of the Local Government Constitution Regulations 1998, I confirm the following nominations were received for the appointment of delegates to the Mintari Regional Council, Councillor Paul Miles and Councillor Helen Berry, and the name of the successful candidate declared elected is Councillor Paul Miles, with 8 votes to Councillor Berry's 3. So, councillors, because that ballot has gone the way that it has, we also need to now consider a deputy delegate, because obviously Councillor Miles was the deputy delegate. So I'll leave that in the Mayor's capable hands now to maybe call for nominations, and we can fill in the blanks and then vote on that particular motion.
Thank you. Do we have any nominations for the deputy of the presiding member at Mindarie Regional Council? You're already nominated. You've got the job.
I was going to nominate Councillor Smith.
Okay.
I have a piece of paper I can fill out.
Okay. Any other nominations for the deputy? Yes, she's accepted the nomination. If there are no other nominations from the floor, then I declare Councillor Smith the deputy as necessary for the following meetings. Ordinary council meeting, these are the MRC council meetings. Ordinary council meeting on the 24th of September 26, ordinary council meeting on the 26th of November 26, and ordinary council meeting on the 17th of December 26. And I understand the reason why it's for they do a calendar year, not a financial year. So then it'll be redone later. Councillor Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. It may be prudent, obviously not counting anyone being away, but just in case anything does happen, MRC have notified council that there is a special council meeting to be held on the 6th of August. I would recommend that we include that just in case anything happens, so we are covered on that basis.
So we make D, special council meeting.
Yep, 6th of August at 6 p.m. at the City of Stirling.
Do I have a mover and seconder for this? Moved Councillor Wright, seconder Deputy Miles. Do I have any speakers against? Okay, so councillors, I will read out the recommendation just to clarify it. That Council 1 appoints the following council member as the delegate of the Mindarie Regional Council for the remainder of the current appointment term expiring at the October 2027 ordinary council elections. The delegate is Deputy Mayor Paul Miles, and appoints Councillor Smith as the deputy delegate to Mindarie Regional Council as necessary for the following meetings: at the Ordinary Council meeting on the 24th of September 26, the MRC Ordinary Council meeting 26th of November 26, Ordinary Council meeting 17th of December 26, and the Special Council meeting on the 6th of August 26. Councillors, please cast your vote.
Sorry, Mayor, can I just clarify from that recommendation?
We got that a little bit mixed up.
Just in regards to the second point, I think we'd need to state the councillor that the deputies, just because there has been things in the past, so it needs to be a particular person assigned to a main delegate.
Of Councillor Miles, I get
So
it.
it need to be in the absence of, because I believe Councillor Berry is representing myself if I'm away, and then obviously you need Councillor Smith representing Deputy Mayor Miles.
So I'll read out item 2 again, because I worked it out as best as I could. 2, appoints Councillor Smith as the deputy delegate to the Mindarie Regional Council to attend in the absence of Deputy Mayor Miles as necessary for the following meetings, which I've read out all 4 of them, so I'm not going to read them all out again. Councillors, please cast your vote. Thank you. and that's carried unanimously. I must say, I took Deputy Mayor Miles out on the run, but I didn't put the other one in on. Okay, now we are going to confidential. Do I have a mover and seconder to go behind closed doors, please? Moved, Councillor Seif. Seconder? Councillor Wright. Councillors, can you please vote to go behind closed doors? No, because it will be spoken to. And we're missing two. Councillor Coetzee and Councillor Wright. You were testing me. So there was one against, which is Councillor Berry. And there were 10 supporting, so we will now go behind closed doors. And we are now on air. So item CRO 10726, Alkimos Aquatic and Recreation Centre Operator Agreement and Lease. The recommendation was supported. 10 councillors supported it and one was against. Councillor Figg, was against. And the recommendation was that Council 1 authorises to the Chief Executive Officer to finalise and execute the Alkimos Aquatic and Recreation Centre Operator Agreement. 2, approves in principle a sublease of a 1,424 square metre portion of Alkimos Aquatic and Recreation Centre, 8 to 16 Kumul Drive, Alkimos, to Bluefit Proprietary Limited, ACN 127508230, for a term of 5 years with a consideration of $1. 3, subject to the Minister for Planning and Lands approval, delegates authority to the Chief Executive Officer to dispose of the property outlined in item 1 and 2 above in accordance with section 3.58 of the Local Government Act 1995, and 4, authorises the affixing of the common seal of the City of Wanneroo to the sublease in accordance with the City's execution of documents policy. We now go to item 13, the date of the next meeting. The next council members' agenda briefing has been scheduled for 6 p.m. on Tuesday the 11th of August to be held at Council Chambers, Civic Centre, 23 Dundebar Road, Wanneroo. Item 14 is the closure. Thank you everyone for attending, and I now declare the ordinary council meeting closed at 9:21 p.m. Thank you, councillors.